I'm asking you, Minister, one last time. You saw it with your own eyes. You saw what happened. Are you not willing to admit that clearing more forest and using more prescribed burns could have prevented the town of Jasper from being burned down?
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start the first round off with Mr. Soka for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll be sharing about the last 2 minutes with MP Mazur. Minister Guilbeault called the wildfire in Jasper a success. Yet a third of the town was destroyed, thousands are homeless, and nearly $1 billion in damage. Did his failure to implement proper mitigation go against your job to prepare for this emergency?
So what I can tell you is when I visited Jasper, the command center, and the town itself, alongside with the mayor, the premier, and our ministers, and especially Minister Ellis, the briefing that we got, if it wasn't for the preparation that Jasper had taken, the Fire Smart program that was conducted, more importantly, the training and the coordinated training that all the different agencies had done, I think just a few months prior, that led to not only saving the town, but making sure that the evacuation was very successful and done quickly.
Okay. The wildfire in Jasper was a disaster waiting to happen, with experts and officials raising alarms for over 8 years. When were you first informed, either by Minister Guilbeault or any other member of the Liberal government, that Jasper was a tinderbox ready to ignite? When and by whom?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't agree with that assessment. When you look at across the country, British Columbia, Alberta, the forecast that we were seeing with the extreme heat, there were many parts of the country that we know, because of the extreme heat, is prone to wildfires. When did I first know of the wildfire that took place? It was just actually, I believe, a few days before that the evacuation took place. When we were informed, well, one thing we always make sure through the Government Operations Center, to making sure that all the resources are in place, and do they have all that was needed, and everything that we were told at that time, additional resources were being moved in, and that things were being held at that time until those gusts of wind that I was talking about that made the situation extremely worse, that never happened apparently in Jasper before.
But Minister, I think you're forgetting the fact that, the mountain pine beetle, there was a lot of dead trees. I'm not saying there wasn't fire smarting in town. Mm-hmm. The problem is the fire smarting wasn't done further back, like 1 mile or 2 miles. That's where the problem was. You had huge amounts of fuel sitting there, essentially dead trees that could ignite at any time. And yes, once that got fire started there, the problem was you were not going to stop it. That's our point, is why was those trees not removed? So, when and how were you informed that there should have been more done? So
as the Minister of Emergency Preparedness, my job is to look at responding to the emergency. What I'll tell you, what I was briefed upon when I was on the ground, I'll let Parks Canada and others explain further if they need to on this. When I was briefed is the fire smarting that actually took place, the wall of flame that was reported. If it wasn't for the fire smarting that was done, the wall of flame would have kept going. They actually would stop. It was because of those winds that had never taken place before, that 100 kilometers per hour, that gusted up to 150 kilometers per hour, that launched those pine cones that were on fire and branches into the town, that actually set the town on fire. But for everything that we were briefed on, that if it wasn't for the preparation that had taken place, that the situation would have been much worse.
Okay, I won't get into the severe winds in mountain areas, but I'll pass it on to MP Mazur.
Thank you. Minister, you're responsible for emergency preparedness. Do you agree with prescribed burns help prevent wildfires? Yes or no?
First, I'm not the expert on how to deal with that. That the experts would have to look at, because I have seen where certain places...
Minister, the question was pretty straightforward. Do you agree that prescribed burns help prevent wildfires? Yes or no?
It all depends on which area. Each expert, for example, in the Yukon,
Minister, I'll tell you, they do actually help. So, Minister, documents obtained by suggest that Minister Guilbeault's department was working against your mandate. A senior official at Parks Canada wrote in an email months before the Jasper wildfires, and I quote, "At what point do we make the organizational decision to cancel prescribed burns in Western Canada?" Then the official stated, and I quote, "Political perception may become more important than actual prescription windows." Minister, newly obtained emails now reveal that this discussion was so alarming The Executive Director of Conservation replied, begging Parks Canada to put forest management above politics, and I quote, "I hope we don't get into a blanket shutdown," she said. Quote, "It is critical to continue those kind of burns. It is how they maintain the community fuel break, and when they fall behind, it is very difficult to catch up," end quote. So, Minister, when were you first informed that Minister Guilbeault's department was discussing cancelling prescribed burns because of political optics?
First of all, I think those questions were answered already earlier.
Je crois qu'on a déjà répondu à ces questions. Je vous posais la question à vous.
Minister, and any opportunity to respond to his question.
I'm sensitive to the badgering of witnesses. I don't think it's really that severe in Mr. Mazur's case. Go ahead. Oui.
Je crois qu'il y a un petit problème dans la
OK,
traduction.
est-ce que vous comprenez? Est-ce qu'on entend? C'est bon? OK, alors, Monsieur Mazur, continuez, là, mais donnez la chance.
Please continue. Please continue.
Clarification, I'll ask you again, Minister. When were you first informed that Minister Guilbeault's department was discussing cancelling prescribed burns because of political optics?
I can only tell you what I have been briefed on when I visited Jasper. I
So
deal
you
with
were-
the emergency
were you aware?
response. I don't get into what takes place in each community across the country.
Were you
we
aware?
look at responding. No, I wasn't.
Thank you. How much time?
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Madam, we'll go to the second round, the 5-minute round, and it's Mr. Lloyd who's leading off.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Your experience with disasters, Minister, you're a former military man. I'd like to get your perspective, and I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I'd like to get a direct answer. Knowing what you know now about what happened in Jasper, was it a mistake for the government not to conduct more mechanical clearing operations and more prescribed burns to protect the town site of Jasper?
What I can tell you, and what I was briefed on the ground with the Premier and the Alberta Wildfire Service, that everything that could have been done was done. And I believe Mayor Ireland can attest to that.
I think you're avoiding the question here. I understand that Alberta Emergency Management of the town may have done everything they could have done in terms of fire smart, in terms of positioning emergency response equipment to react to a fire once it happened. But I'm asking about what happened before, in the years before the fire started, in the years since 2017 when Ken Hodges and other scientists warned your government that not taking action on mechanical clearing and prescribed burns to protect the town of Jasper was setting up the town of Jasper for a catastrophe. Knowing what you know now, Minister, and with your extensive experience, will you say whether or not it was a mistake for Parks Canada not to more extensively clear the forest and use prescribed burns to protect the town of Jasper?
The only thing I can tell you is what I have been briefed on when we were involved with the emergency, and what we were briefed on the ground with all the Alberta from the Premier and other ministers, that everything that could have been done was done. In fact, if the preparation hadn't taken place, that the whole town could have been lost.
Well, Minister, we could have avoided the town being burned down at all if we had taken extensive action to clear the dead pine beetles that scientists warned your government needed to be cleared in order to prevent the fire in Jasper. I'm asking you, Minister, one last time. You saw it with your own eyes. You saw what happened. Are you not willing to admit that clearing more forest and using more prescribed burns could have prevented the town of Jasper from being burned down?
So what we do is we'll be going through a lessons learned to determine what are the lessons that we can learn to be able to apply not only for that area, but for also the rest of the country as well.
Minister, it's pretty shocking that you won't give a direct answer to that question, but I will move on to my next question.
Point of order?
Hold my time, please.
Yes, Ms.
Yeah, I just find the member opposite, is being, questioning the minister's integrity by repeating that
That's not
question
true,
and
but
then
that's
saying
not a point of order.
Questioning that again. And it's Standing Order 18, by the way.
It's not a point of order. It's not a point of order, but
I appreciate the break, though. Thank you.
okay, let's continue, but let's be respectful, I guess. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll move on to my next question, Minister. You did talk about a time of reflection, and I think that is important, but we need not just to reflect, we need to take action. I've been told by scientists and people on the ground that the town of Jasper is still at significant risk, particularly to the northwest of town where there still is significant stands of pine beetle-infested dead pine trees that pose a significant risk to the town. What is Parks Canada doing immediately to prepare the town of Jasper to face this risk so that we don't have a repeat of what we had this last summer?
So because I can only answer for my portfolio, what I can tell you is we have learned from whether it's Fort McMurray, West Kelowna, Enterprise, and we try to share those lessons. And we will be making sure that all the lessons that have been learned here will be applied not only to that area but for others. And what I have also been assured is looking at what else needs to be done. And this is one thing that I took away from Mayor Ireland, who's personally had to deal with the devastation of losing his own home, is the work that needs to be done. They have to do.
Minister, I'll have to cut you off because I've given you some time there. What needs to be done is we need to start clearing these trees, and we need to take action to prevent the fire from hitting Jasper and other towns in the Rocky Mountain National Park and our other national parks that are at risk. But I'll move on to my next question, Minister. You know, the way that you're speaking here at committee, I think it would be more appropriate if your ministry was the Ministry of Emergency Response, because I'm not seeing a lot of preparedness from your government. What role did you take in the years and the months leading up to this Jasper fire to prepare Jasper and other towns and national parks, which are under federal jurisdiction, for the threat of wildfires? You as Minister of Emergency Preparedness, what did you do?
So for our role in emergency preparedness, one of the things we do is look at on the prediction of where potentially fires can take place. We have made that information available as far as possible. The other aspect, one of the things we have prepared is making sure that evacuees need the support. That's one of the things that we also learned from last year, and the humanitarian workforce program played a very important role in that. When it comes to the preparedness side, that's a shared responsibility that happens with the provinces and the municipalities to be able to work together.
Thank you. I only have 30 seconds left, Minister. I have given you some good time to answer that. What day did Alberta make a request for assistance with Jasper? What day did the request for assistance come to you?
Well, the actual first request that was made was actually not for Jasper. We were actually.
I'm asking for the one for Jasper specifically, though, Minister.
But I need to, I'm trying to explain to you the actual how the situation took place. It wasn't just like a one moment then another. When I was on the phone with Minister Ellis throughout the day, we were actually looking at providing support for northern Alberta, while literally at the same time the situation in Jasper is deteriorating. So we didn't even look at where the resources were going. We were dealing with Jasper, and then the decision was made during my visit is to shift the resources, and that was their decision to make.
What day, Minister?
Thank you. Time's up. Time's up. I'm sorry.
22nd of July.
Thanks.
Okay.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what we really should think about what we just saw in that committee video. It's so hard to get answers. These conservatives are asking the right questions. We see it all the time. These liberals get in the way. The witnesses are never prepared. They don't have the right answers. I try to keep notes, but there's no sense. Let me know in the comments what I should think. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney, and this is another Wild Committee investigation video. There are so many of them under this Trudeau, NDP, Jagmeet, Liberal coalition government. It's a total farce. We need an election. That's it. There's no more to say about that. We just need an election. Hopefully we'll get one. My name's Aaron. Like, subscribe, share, get notified, all those fun things. Please leave a comment. Love the comments. Check your next video. Thank you for watching this one. Remember to get notified for the live shows. That's worth a look. Our live shows and getting involved in the chat room. It's a good experience. Come check it out. That's it. Learn about Canadian federal politics with Canadians similar to yourself. That's it. My name's Aaron, Canadian Looney. Catch you next video. Thanks for watching this one.